It is 1:02, so I'll call the meeting to order, roll call.
Here, Councilor Daniel Lamb,
Here.
Councilor Angela Black,
Here.
Councilor Steve Cherry,
Here.
Councilor Jesse Brandenburg.
Okay. First item is approval of agenda. I'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, the first item, we've got two public hearings. The first one is a restaurant A, beer and wine liquor license with on-premise consumption only. This is for Finca de Villa. We do have them here today. They have completed all of the paperwork required by the state, the posting. We've been given our notice and we only have a certain number of days that we have to act with that. So this would be a public hearing if anybody has comments. No? What? All right.
Crickets.
If there is no comment from the public, I would take a motion to approve the restaurant A beer and wine license.
I'll make a motion to approve the restaurant's beer and wine license.
Do I have a second? Okay, any other questions or discussion?
I just want to verify the location.
The one in Woods West.
Thank you. Okay. And the reason I asked that is placement with schools and those sort of things are what I was considering.
Right.
Okay, so thank you. That's all I needed.
And we do get paperwork from the state that says they have completed everything they require.
Thanks.
All right, roll call.
Councilor Daniel Lamb,
Yes.
Councilor Steve Cherry,
Yes.
Councilor Angela Black.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Okay, the next one,
Congratulations.
I'm sorry, what, yeah. This is, for ordinance 2026-02. Establishing a comprehensive business regulation code and repealing conflicting ordinances relating to business licensing and registration. This is a public hearing. We definitely want to hear input. I don't see this getting approved today. I think it will probably require a work session, especially if we talk about the food trucks, because this is very specific about not allowing food trucks. And I know there's some people out there that would like to see food trucks at different times. Some of the key things I was going to point out before we open it up to the public. Currently on business registrations, we have no, we can charge a $10 late fee and that's it. And so if somebody decides that they are not going to pay their business registration, there's absolutely nothing we can do. This gives us the authority to actually file a lien and to charge an additional $35 for each 30 days that they're past due. So that's a big one. It puts in here about the $25 a day for the fees for the park on vendors in the park. It clarifies. So where we went with the food truck on this is we had some issues with if people were having a family reunion, they would put a food truck in the park like they were going to vend, and that's very much against our ordinance. So that clarifies that they can't sell to the public if they're specifically for a family reunion or like the park had their open house and they could have one. So this just clarifies that. For the itinerant vendor fees. Oh, I had a question on one. It talks about well, it was talking about having vendors on the property. It said if you pay money to the itinerant vendor, and I think it's the itinerant vendor that pays money to the business. So I thought that was wrong. You can really clarify that for me.
Madam Mayor, you're correct. That is a puzzle that switched over. And I believe in years past, what we've done is a conditional use permit that the vendor would come before planning and zoning to request a vendor permit for X amount of days, whatever the agreement is with the land owner. We've had only a couple. I remember Mrs. Tate having a donut place. Yeah, so it has happened before, but now it's clarified here in the new ordinance.
So would that fall back on businesses that rent their property on Memorial Weekend? Because it says, this is on number 5, letter D. Establishments setting up stalls at their usual place of business for items not purchased in advance for regular resale or where a fee is paid, and that would be from a transient vendor for the use of the premises. So that's more Memorial Weekend, right?
Yes.
So that's an itinerant vendor. Okay, so at this point, I would open it up to the public. So Matt, I see you signed up if you want to speak to this.
So making no assumptions because I understand that ordinances are created for a reason, but it's either to open the door to something or close the door to something. That's the only reason we create ordinances or ordinance variances. And so my only concern, because I read through the entire ordinance proposal, is that, you know, as a restaurant owner, you know, many of us, I know, Steve, you have your restaurant for sale listed at $1.4 million. Somebody that's gonna come in and buy that restaurant, $1.4 million needs the security that it's not gonna be an easy point of entry to somebody with a food truck that has $50,000 invested in a food truck to come in. And the way I read the ordinance, it allows for people to set up to do private events, but there's no expiration on how many times a business can allow food trucks to come into their private place of business. And my concern is that for a fee of $200 a week with an expiration of 4 days, they can reapply after 4 days for a new vendor permit to set up on private property. And then for a fee of almost what I pay monthly on mortgage for an entire year, they can set up on a property. And my only fear is I don't have any issue with food trucks, but I think food trucks, if it's gonna be an easy point of entry, there needs to be an expiration on how long a food truck can be in town without becoming a brick and mortar. And for me, as an investor in a property in this town with a restaurant with $1 million mortgage, or somebody coming in to purchase a $1.4 million property, for a business to be able to come in at a $50,000 investment plus another $10,000 a year, creates a problem for me as a business owner, because I'm on the hook for a $10,000 a month payment, where somebody's on the hook for a $10,000 a year payment to establish something that creates competition for me. And I don't mind competition, but I think it should be fair. And my only concern is that it seems like there's no closure to how often, and it is at the discretion of the town. When I read the ordinance variance, that at the discretion of the town, they will issue a permit, but there's no expiration outside of the 4-day period to be able to reapply back to back.
So let me just
So-
clarify, you're talking about under C, the private business fence?
Yes.
Okay, so maybe we do need to clarify that, because that's more like the bank that had their open house and it was just for their
Right.
customers. And I don't think they can actually sell the food. It has to be just given away.
Right. But that also doesn't close the door
Right.
to somebody getting creative and bringing in a food truck for a private event, running everything through their POS system and paying a vendor who's set up as a food truck. And I just think it doesn't completely close the door, because it doesn't completely close the door, it gives me a little bit of pause. Because I don't think, you know, if it was a lodge and people were setting up tented housing in their parking lot, you know.
Campers.
Yeah, or retail businesses, that if you have a candy shop and somebody sets up a tent in front of my business to sell candy, it's the same thing. You're on the hook for a mortgage, and these businesses really need to be brick and mortar without being temporary.
So do you have a suggestion? I mean, if we just said, you know, during that particular event, because they do have to get a private business event mobile food vendor permit.
So
So how would we
The
clarify
only
that?
concern is, so right now, we're having a hard time as a town closing the door to vendors, period. And keeping vendors out of the town when we have a hosted event, like, we can't dictate who and when and what particular vendors are
There's
putting in.
business today.
Yeah.
than
Absolutely.
probably necessary.
So what's to say that a business owner is not gonna try to skirt the rules or cheat the rules and set something up where I've already heard conversations with business owners who said, well, maybe we can just bring this food truck in and we run everything through our POS system and pay that particular food truck ourselves to get around this law.
Like
People can-
subcontract.
Yes, exactly.
But they would still have to have that private event
Yes.
permit, and it would still have to be a private event. So we would just have to make sure that the permit is very specific, that it says the dates of it. And I mean, because you can only have an open house, so, or
Yeah.
a grand opening so many times.
Right.
But yeah, okay, so let's look at that.
If you can define it somehow and limit the
Opportunity for them to do that.
maybe between your event permit expires after 4 days according to the ordinance. Maybe it needs to be that to apply for another event permit, it needs to be at least 30 days or something along those lines.
Okay.
I think Vicky-
Or until the next
Vicky-
main, which could be in the park, so should, if,
The town events are totally.
Which has its.
Oh, town is-
That's what
totally.
we're talking about on property.
oh, yeah.
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 But
Okay.
if we took that same prescription from town special events, limiting them to dates, hours, and locations, apply that same thing to private business events, then we can capture a moment in time without continuity, without expanding it.
Okay. I think we can put that in there to make it
Okay.
work, and we can bring that back for the next public hearing. So Vicky, did you have something?
So this may be the appropriate time to bring this up, maybe not, and with all due respect to Matt. At what point, though, do we stop trying to protect certain business industries? I own a lodge. My friend here has just bought the building across the street, is built and putting 10 boutique hotel rooms in there. My lodge is for sale. That brings competition into me. We've got townhomes down here that just got built, that variances were given and permissions for different things. That brings competition to me too. So at what point do we stop protecting one industry over another?
But-
You know, and at what point, like with my property? Maybe I want to bring a food truck in to sell and, you know, provide, but also provide for my guests or what. And I'm told I can't do that on my property that I own or that I owe a massive mortgage to. And I'm looking for ways to attract business to me and to my location versus putting, you know, restaurants and distilleries and everything else in their buildings. So I think there's gotta be a middle ground. There's gotta be a way that we can try to work together, you know? I don't know, again, I don't know if this is the proper place to put that,
And
but.
let me say something real quick, Jamie, before you do. So I know I'm of the unpopular mindset. I think that competition makes everybody better. And I also think that our purpose is to take care of our guests here in town. And that's why I hope we can have a workshop on the food trucks, because I think there are times when we're not able to feed our guests and they go and have to wait 45 minutes to 2 hours to eat. And I think there are appropriate times that it might be okay to have that. I know we have people that are very opposed to vendors selling things that we sell in the stores. You know, I think we have to look at it as a whole, and that's why we need to have a work session that really addresses this. And I agree 100% with you. So Daniel.
I agree, because I have the same concerns as I'm in another industry with competition sitting in front of my yard. So we have to be careful as we do craft this, that we don't carve out a special circumstance for a single industry. But at the same time, at what point does it not spread into housing, into accommodations, into retail and all of the other businesses? But I think if we can pinpoint it to a specific time, date, and hours, we can eliminate some of the uncertainty. But we do have to have that discussion because no offense, and I fully get it, but if we end up protecting restaurants, but then we don't protect accommodations, we don't protect retail, we don't protect service industries, we're doing our community a disservice. So
Well,
we have to have
that's
clear
it.
guidelines.
That said, you know, if somebody comes in with a mobile ski shop and sets up in my parking lot across the street from you, it's really no different. I think what we're talking about are two different things. Where, yes, one is probably a greater, demand than the other when it comes to food, because there's a lot of people in this town that sometimes are on an hour and a half, 3 hour waits, whatever. I understand the conflict with those tourists. But we're talking about temporary business versus a permanent business, and I think that's what we have to make the definition is. People who are making an investment in this town, and it's been a long time since you've had to make a
I have
large investment.
I
in
have
the
3
town.
mortgages today, so
Sure.
don't use me as an
But
example.
what I'm saying is, you've been here a lot longer than most of us. And for those of us that are coming in now, or trying to sell properties right now, it really makes it almost impossible to try to get over that 5-year hump. Getting into your business when you create some solid ground for your business to be able to make money. When people can set up in a prime location, right here next to the park. And didn't have to pay $1 million for that location, you know what I mean? There is a difference. And if the same thing was happening where somebody was coming in, like I said, setting up a mobile ski unit or.
So they do it every day. They do it every weekend here. So every time there's an event, there are things to bring people here to sell them. So it impacts me and retailers as much as it does restaurants.
That's food, it's food and
So
retail.
we just have to understand, we need common laws. We can't carve out for a single industry. But we need common laws that applies across whatever industry we're working in.
Right, the only difference is you don't have the risk of a mobile ski shop really setting up because of.
Oh, yes, I've seen it 3 times in my lifetime here, where they come in and set up in mobile units. So it does happen. So we just have to look at it. What does the town of Red River need under this circumstance?
I agree with that. And I want to add, different businesses have different investment levels. I do not feel that we should be making ordinances that discriminate. Okay, we have to make fair laws that apply to everybody. We can't say just because you're willing to invest $1.4 million in something in this town makes you more important than somebody that's going to spend $50,000 getting a good food trailer ready. I think that there's a lot of good things that we can say about, I don't know what you'd want to call them, food parks and some tourism towns. I think that's a discussion we need to have in a work session. I do not think we should decide anything here today. But I do agree with Councilor Lamb that our rules, we should not make rules that are going to cut us short in the future, right? We don't want to close the door on things. I think that's really, really important. But I also feel like we should not make rules that protect us and not the people that are trying to come to town. That's not our job up here. We cannot protect us and not people that want to move here. There's no more land. There's nothing else to buy here to put a new business on. You have to buy something that's existing. But
And to go along with that, I mean, our job up here, we have to take off our hats as business people. Our job is to represent the businesses of this town and the tourists of this town, because without the tourists coming in, then none of us get to live here. So, yeah, I may not agree with some of the things we decide because it might not be best for my business, but I don't get that luxury because that's not what we're elected to do. So,
and I wasn't happy when another candy shop went into town. But this world is about competition, and that's what capitalism is. That's what being an entrepreneur is. Most of us up here are entrepreneurs. A lot of you out there are entrepreneurs. And I don't think that we should close the door